Um, second. Wait. All right. Let's just get started. What is going on, baseball fans? Welcome into a new edition of the Batter, a podcast sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here on the Sports and Sin Network. By Griffin, the old ops guy with you. Old ops guy, happy August. How are you?
Finally had a good night's sleep. It's not going to be too hot today. So after this, a little bit of quick cleaning and then off to the pool with the kids.
Off to the pool with the kids. That's how
Yes.
you spend a relaxing Sunday.
Yes, it is.
All right. So let's get this show on the road. We are going to start this show uh, with some sad news. And that news is that earlier this week, Hall of Famer Ryan Sandberg, who's also a former MVP, 10-time All Star, 9-time Gold Glover, passed away due to cancer. So, Mark, I'll turn to you because not knocking the age here, you got to witness Ryan Sandberg play.
Not only got to witness, I actually had dinner with him once, and he was a real humble guy. One of the best second basemen I've ever seen play the game. He played 16 total seasons, 15 of them with the Cubs, batted 285, 2,300 hits, 280 homers, 1,000 RBIs, 1,300 runs, and not to forget the fact that he also had 344 stolen bases. Ryan Sandberg is a generational talent. He could have been placed on any team in any position and made any team better. Well, not any position, meaning second base. Any team second base and made any team instantly better. He was the MVP of the 84 season, and he was doing so well, but unfortunately, cancer finally came back and took him from us too early.
And if you noticed yesterday, the Cubs all wore their dark blue uniforms in honor of Ryan Sandberg. So, I mean, Hall of Famer, 84 MVP, 10-time All Star, 9 Gold Gloves, 7 Silver Sluggers. I mean, 285 batting average.
Something you
It's,
don't see on an average today, but that wasn't just a year, that was his career.
that was his career batting average. And for you analytical guys out there, he had a career WAR of 67.9. That's a 162 game average. This is on baseball reference of 5.1. Career slash line was 285, 344, 452. So,
And those are slashes that you
that,
only wish you would see now.
so our condolences to the Cubs organization and the family and friends of Ryan Sandberg. Passed away at the very young age of
I believe it was 65.
65. Oh, played his rookie year in Philly. I did not know that.
Yes.
1981, he played 13 games for the Phillies. Then he went to Chicago, play the rest of his career.
Yep.
So, mm.
Call him what you may, he was loyal to the Chicago Cubs.
I believe he was the manager of the Phillies too at one point.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. After that Charlie Manuel led era, all those Phillies teams were not very nice.
No.
Spat fans. All right. Also, earlier this week was the Major League Baseball trading deadline, which has come and gone. And man, we saw a flurry of stuff. But the two big ones I really want to hit on. We'll get into some of the other stuff, but the Astros reacquiring Carlos Correa, which we heard rumblings a couple of days before, and then there was a report it's dead, and then all of a sudden, nope, the Astros are getting Carlos Correa.
Excuse me. It, to me, this seems like a way for him to go home and end his career where he started, as we all saw after last season when he was unable to be signed by the Mets due to medical concerns. It obviously showed in that foot last year. He's not having a horrible year. He's not having a great year, but he will play third when he gets down to Houston. And I'm sure there'll be some type of restructure for him to end earlier than what that contract is.
Well, here's the other thing: Minnesota, which I think says this contract has 96 million left on it. Minnesota's paying $33 million of this contract. They gave it to the Astros to pay
To
him.
offset it a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's still a lot of money owed.
Oh yeah, it's
So
3 years, 96 million. To your point on the season, he's hitting 267, 7 homers, 31 RBIs.
as I said, it's not a spectacular season, but it's not a non-productive season.
No, and it's
And where
also
he's going to be hitting in Houston, his numbers should improve.
his numbers are going to improve because of that ballpark. And here's the thing, and I mentioned this on my recap show, which should be up at some point, so you can check that out whenever. You know how for most trade deadline guys, they have to get acquainted to the city and the ballpark and how they're going to travel to the ballpark. He doesn't have to do that. He knows Houston. He knows the ballpark. By the way, his I think it's either his parents or his in-laws still live in Houston.
So he's just essentially coming home.
He's coming home to the place where he belongs. So
He likes to go where somebody knows his name,
yeah,
to pull one out from Mike Rifkin's standpoint.
but and so the Astros go out. And by the way, they do. It feels like they do this every freaking year at the deadline, where they just randomly pull this card trick out of, oh yeah, we're gonna go get a big name that no one sees coming. They did it with Justin Verlander. They did it with Zach Greinke, and now they're doing it here with Carlos Correa. And by the way, the deal they didn't make was also a stutter because they were in talks at the end of the deadline. At the end of the deadline, with the Padres for Dylan Cease.
That would have absolutely shocked me because of the way the Padres were making moves, and Seats was never part of any of them throughout the day or even throughout the weekend.
Well, and the funny thing is, because I'm sitting there going, Okay, Correa, maybe that's not going to cost you a top prospect, but what do they have to offer the Padres? Like, I really didn't know what was going on there.
It would have had to been a ton of prospects because I don't think you would have seen anybody from the club currently go anywhere.
Yeah, because the Padres were looking to not really just get rid of Cease. They were looking to kind of replenish their farm after they gave it up for guys like Juan Soto and
Right.
the other deal they made one of the deals they made on Thursday, which saw them make a deal with the A's for Mason Miller, which that bullpen now with Mason Miller, Suarez, Jason Adam, it's Jeremiah Estrada. That bullpen is ridiculous.
There were a few bullpens that ended up improving
Mm-hmm.
over the trade deadline. That was just one of them.
Well, that's already the best bullpen in baseball just based on numbers. And they're going to go, oh, here's Mason Miller coming out. Although there was something on MLB Network that said he claimed to the A's he wanted to become a starter, so the Padres might stretch him out in spring training next year in hopes of him becoming a starter.
Not everybody has the, I don't want to say luck with it, has the success with it like Clay Holmes has with the Mets. Just yes, using my home team to give an example. Um, Sometimes it can actually end up ruining a reliever because they end up hurting certain muscles and then you're taking too long to relieve them.
Yeah, so that was another big one. Um, you mentioned other teams who worked bullpens. The Phillies got Johan Duran from Minnesota.
Yeah.
The Mets got Tyler Rogers from the Giants. Yeah, Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals. On top of already adding Gregory Soto from Baltimore. So,
And all of them have already appeared, including Cedric Mullins
yeah.
in the shellacking last night, the shellacking yesterday afternoon of the Giants.
By the way, re-signing Ryan Helsley's become now a top priority for me,
Well,
just because he comes out to Hell's Bells.
of the Mets trade acquisitions, the only one who I know they're talking about extension is Cedric Mullins at the moment. But yes, I don't disagree with.
Well, I'm going to hold off any extension talk till after the season,
Excuse me.
just to see what happens. And you know what? Just to keep the bullpen train going, go cross down to the Bronx because the Yankees had
Got Eric Bednar.
David Bednar,
David
Camilo
Bednar.
Doval, Jake Bird, Bednar from the Pirates, Doval from the Giants, Bird from the Rockies. That's on top of everything else they had done. Ryan McMahon and Ahmed Rosario, which we spoke about last week. And then on Friday night, all of those relievers made their debut and they all kicked the can down the road as the Yankees blew a 6-0 lead. And then I think it was 9-4 lead to lose 13-12 to the Marlins, who we will talk about in a few minutes. But uh, yeah. And then Jake Bird threw, I think, a scoreless inning yesterday for the Yankees. But their problems continue to grow. And we'll get into that also in a few minutes. But I want to get into players who were not dealt because there were three names we talked a lot about. And whether it was on this show or via text, and those are Luis Robert, Sandy Alcantara, and Zach Gallen. Which of those three shocked you the most that they were not moved?
Usually when Mike says something's going to happen, you should listen because he's generally correct. And I'm talking about Luis Robert. Um, I was very high on the fact of the Mets getting him, and not that I'm unhappy with the fact that they got Cedric Mullins. I'm ecstatic about it. It's just age and speed. That's about it. However, Cedric Mullins can dunk a ball like Michael Jordan, so we'll call it even. But Mike had said that Chicago is under no rush to trade him at all. And I was like, yeah, but they have him only for 2 more. I really wasn't thinking the fact that Chicago can get better from other aspects without giving up possibly their one real franchise player at the moment. So him not going was a bigger shock. I'm ecstatic the Mets got Cedric Mullins. I'm excited to have him in New York. But yeah, for the three you just mentioned, Robert's to me is the biggest surprise.
The thing for me on Robert, and I think it was Mark Feinsand on MLB Network who kind of said this at the beginning of their deadline coverage on Thursday, was like nothing seemed imminent on Robert. Teams had called, but like you said, the White Sox have 2 years of control left. They're both club option years. But I kind of wondered, the only two teams we heard about were the Mets and the Phillies. Those were the only two teams we'd heard that were really in. And it's a reasonable number. I think it's a $20 million option for next year and even the year after.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering if the White Sox pick up the option, the first option this winter, and then dangle it maybe around the winter meetings and go, maybe we could get more teams involved then instead of at the deadline. Because right now, and Luis Roberts played really well the last couple of weeks. I think most of that was to showcase himself for the deadline. But now he's stuck in Chicago, a place that's not close to winning. Um, the guy I'm most surprised about is Zach Gallen. And we can talk about the numbers all we want, but he hasn't had a good year, 100%. I would have thought some team would have wanted him for the playoff run based on what he was for the Arizona Diamondbacks when they went to the World Series a couple of years ago. And
Right.
he's a rental. He's not signed to a long-term contract. You'd be renting him for this year. I thought a few teams I thought could have used another starter. The Mets were definitely one of them. The
Yes.
Astros, I think, could use another starter. Um, Boston, even though they got Dustin May, I would have liked to see add another starter. The Cubs definitely needed another starting pitcher. That's why I'm a little disappointed in what the Cubs did. Uh, I haven't been this disappointed since Henry Rowengartner left the Cubs. But I was surprised about Gal. Alcantara, the reason why I'm not surprised about Alcantara is this. I think the Marlins want to get a lot more teams involved. And he hadn't pitched well either until his last couple of starts, which have been really, really good. But according to multiple reports, the Marlins were looking for two top five prospects from any team. So I think that was a big deal breaker for certain teams.
And I think that was really the answer is that the fact that Merrill Kelly ended up going to Texas.
Hmm.
Of the two pitchers Arizona was thinking about trading, we all at the network said that it was going to be Merrill Kelly because of his age and whatnot. But Mike, as Mike also pointed out about Gallen, is his numbers aren't excellent. Actually, they're far from it. I mean, he's given up 23 home runs, and yeah, he does play in a stadium in which it's hotter and the ball travels a little bit more. But I think more teams were also turned away is that Arizona wanted pitching prospects, and the Mets did not want to give up any of the three prime targets of Tong, Sporat, and McLean.
And just for any team, if you're looking at rental or guys with years left, it just depends what you want. But I mean, look at what the Padres gave up for Mason Miller. They gave up the number 3 overall prospect,
Yeah,
that young shortstop. So, uh, so the deadline has come and gone. So now we're getting into the dog days of August. So let's talk about a couple of teams here. Played well, haven't played well. We'll get into some of the races, and then we'll hit them with some other stuff. But the first team I do want to give some love to because they absolutely deserve the love because we had them dead, we had them buried, and as of right now, they are only one game under 500. The Miami Marlins are one game under 500. They're 8 back of the Mets in the NL East, and they are 6 games back of the San Diego Padres in that third wild card spot.
yeah. This is a team that you do not want to see get any hotter than it is. I mean, they're on a ridiculous run over the last few weeks. Hats off to them, definitely, without question. Um, Especially Augustin Ramirez. He had two solo home runs the other night.
Yeah.
You know, they're finding it's not just one guy doing it. This whole team is finding different ways to do it, whether it's been through pitching or whether it's been through the lineup. It necessarily hasn't always been the long ball. They've played a very good small ball type game over the season, and speed is also in there is an asset to them. The question is, how long can they keep it up for?
Oh, okay. I'll be the one to burst the people of South Florida's bubble. Um,
Exactly why I left it to you, because you always have a
look,
way of putting a coating on it.
they're not going to make the playoffs, and I don't say that to be disrespectful. I just think there's too many teams to jump over. Could
Okay.
they jump over the Giants and the Cardinals? Absolutely. I don't know if they'll jump over the Reds or the Padres, and then Mets, Phillies, Cubs, depending on how the wild card situation works out. But I think if you're the Marlins are having the year this year that I think a lot of people thought the Nationals were going to have, which means the improvement of these young players, the development of this young pitching, and setting a tone. And what the Nationals haven't done, the Marlins have. You brought up Augustine Ramirez. Kyle Stowers has been
Yeah.
awesome all year.
Mm.
Alcantara, his last couple of starts is getting better. Yuri Perez was really good yesterday against the Yankees. So and, just to look ahead for them, like they're playing the last game with the Yankees today. They're looking for the sweep, but then they get the Astros, they get the Braves, then they go to Cleveland and well, this is a tough stretch because they're going to go to Atlanta, Cleveland, Boston. They get Toronto at home, and then they end the month end the month uh, playing the Braves and Mets again. And then comes
Okay, so the only two series they really should win out of that are the two Braves series.
that's something else we got to get into. And then in September, they have 9 games against the Mets and Phillies.
When they're playing the Mets, may we serve them up as sashimi. When they're playing the Phillies, we'll be nice. We'll give them a nice grilled welcoming.
So the Marlins, if you're a Marlins fan, you have to be happy with what this season has been so far. Maybe you're not a playoff team, but you're starting to see who these cornerstone guys could be.
And hopefully the fans actually go to the friggin' stadium. I mean, come on.
Well,
It still looks like dollar beer night out there, and there's nobody in the stands.
also, ownership spent some money this winter. You're starting to see something make the fans come out. So
Yeah.
the Marlins are playing very well. Another team playing really well. And they overtook the New York Yankees for the top wild card spot with their win yesterday. The Boston Red Sox. And I feel like the Boston Red Sox, we've talked about their ups and downs all year long, but they've been up since they traded Rafi Devers.
It's still the most shocking trade of the year and the most untimely trade, if anything. But with everything that was going on with the club during his, I don't want to do this, they can't make me do that, the team has done a complete 180 since he's left and is playing magnificent ball. Now, mind you, they beat the Nationals, the Rockies, and the Rays all in succession. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Cubs and lost 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. Came back and took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, 2 out of 3 from the Twins, and now possibly getting the sweep today on Houston.
Mm-hmm.
This is a team that definitely, if it keeps it going, can make the Yankees look unmentionable in the next coming weeks.
Well, they've already overtaken them in the wild card by a half game.
Right.
Jumped into second place in the East. And they're doing it with their young players. Roman Anthony, Marcello Mayer, uh, the center fielder, Setafine, Rafaela.
Rafaela, yeah. Carmelia Rafaela.
Yeah, he's played really well. Uh, by the way, Trevor Story's having a year.
All of a sudden, man is crushing the ball. He's slinging
He
BBs.
he's been awesome. You know, they just got Bregman back. So this lineup just got more dangerous. Their pitching staff, you know, hasn't been great. It's got to get better, but Garrett Crochet's been awesome at the top. The and by the way, Aroldis Chapman at the back end's been really good for them too.
What a last 2 years he has had in Chapman.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the 3 years prior, where he was just a bust in the playoffs for a couple of teams.
It's
So, I mean,
amazing because he at sometimes he looks great and other times he just looks like he can walk the world.
Armando Benitez style.
But man, he has been awesome at the
Yep,
back end of games for the Red Sox.
absolutely.
And Alex Cora has been awesome as well for them. So So yeah, the Red Sox are playing well. The Marlins are playing really well. You know, we can get a little bit into Minnesota, but they tore it all down, so they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I was about to say they. I don't know if you want to call it tore it all down or rebuilding it back up.
Well, I think they got tired of being in the middle, and they said, you know what? We've got a couple of guys here, and Byron Buxton, Royce Lewis, Joe Ryan, who there were rumors circulating about, and they just, I don't know. They're in a funky spot because the AL Central is won by a different team every year. And they just decided, hey, we're going to give up some guys. We're going to hold on to some other guys. I don't know what they're going to look like next year, but they're a real dark horse team next year where you don't know what they're going to be. They're 3-7 in their last, have dropped four in a row. And another team fading in the AL wildcard scene are the Rays, 2-8 in their last 10. But I, I got to be
I don't
honest with you,
count out the Rays until the final gun is sounded.
I don't count them out, but I just, at this point, I just would like for them to know at 2 games under, and they're only four out, so of that third
Right.
wild card. I'm not counting them out, but at the same time, I know they're going to get Shane McClanahan back at some point this month, or they're supposed to.
They're supposed to, yes.
I mean, they could shut him down if they wanted to, but they 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 got off to such a good start that this has kind of been a disappointing summer for them. Although they did beat up Blake Snell yesterday, so
Yeah, and Yandy Diaz went deep twice.
oh yeah, Yandy Diaz is a criminally underrated player. Uh,
At times, yes.
and then if you go to the National League, we brought up the Marlins. The Giants are 3-7 in their last 10. They're six out, like the Marlins. Arizona 2-8 in their last 10. They're nine back. The Braves are 2-8 in their last 10. Oh, you
The
know what?
Braves, the
We
Braves are
haven't mentioned
done.
Acuna either.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
I was going to transition right into it. The Braves are done, and we know that. Unfortunately, again, we're never in the group that's cheering for an injury ever. It's sorry. It's I'm sorry to see Acuna go down. I mean, originally at first, what was supposed to be reports of an Achilles went down as a grade 1 calf strain, and that's you're done for the next 6 weeks at least. And where you are now in the season, if he comes back in October, the question becomes why. Atlanta is not going to make a run here, not without Acuna. They are 14 games back in the wild card standings. It's time to bring up some of that younger talent, let them play, get a little bit of feeling of where your players are going into next season. But losing Ronald Acuna again and almost pretty much at the exact same time is killer.
I'm starting to wonder on him if they have to make him the DH going forward. He's torn
And
both
he
ACLs. Now he's got a calf issue. By the way, they reported it first as an Achilles injury, and then it got,
correct.
downgraded to the calf strain. I kind of wonder if they're going to have to make him the DH just to put a little bit less pressure on those legs.
I mean, medically wise and ethically wise, that's the right thing to do. But Speaking as a former ball player, how do you take that arm out of right field?
I know. Like
I
it's
mean,
such a tough call because let's not forget also he's still so young.
yes.
I,
Look,
that's the other part of this. Now, the other thing they could potentially do is maybe move Olsen. I mean, Olsen's a Gold Glove first baseman, but could you move Cunha to first base? I don't know. This whole thing is going to be weird how they operate it.
I think that the best course of action for them would be, as you said, is Acuna goes to DH.
Right. I feel the same way, just to flip it to the Yankees with Judge. As great of an outfielder as he is, at some point he's got to be the DH, but that spot's filled by Stanton's contract.
Right.
The Braves don't have that issue because Marcelo Ozuna is a free agent after the year.
Yeah.
I'm a little
And
surprised they didn't find a trade partner for him, but that's a whole nother conversation.
I think the Braves asking was way, way too much. And then they figure you might as well, we're not going anywhere. Nobody's going to trade us big for him or trade us what we want. Keep him through the end of the year, let him hit free agency. And then you have to think the Atlanta Braves are in a rebuilding mode after this season.
I don't think they'll rebuild. I think they're gonna rearm themselves. I'm just like, interested to see what veterans they want to keep slash get rid of. Like, what do they want to
Right.
do about Chris Sale? What do they want to do about certain other guys? But anyway, but again,
Speaking of the trade deadline, quickly, you had brought up the Nationals when Juan Soto was traded. Look at those three players right now on the Nationals and Mackenzie Gore, CJ Abrams, and James Wood. I think they made the right. I mean, when you talk about equality on the field, I think the three players make up for Soto.
oh, 100%. What when Soto turned down that, I think it was 450 they offered him. When he turned that down, and then they were like, "All right, we're gonna move you." I don't think Mike Rizzo could have gotten a better package than the one he got from San Diego. James Wood has been
Having
awesome this
a
year.
having rookie of the year type season.
Yeah. Also, he's so good that the high school and family guy's named after him.
And
CJ. Hmm?
I'm sorry, and it wasn't just gonna be about James Woods this year, it was gonna be about Dylan Cruz, but he unfortunately got injured, and the Nationals have no reason to rush him back right now.
No, they got no reason to do anything, with the year they have. But Abrams has been a very good shortstop. And Mackenzie Gore, I believe, is in the top 10 in strikeouts in the league. So
Yeah,
uh, the, the future is bright. They just got to figure some things out there in Washington, like who the manager's going to be going forward.
right.
I got a perfect guy in mind for him, but
Bill Murphy.
no, actually, I'm thinking Buck Showalter.
Does he still even want to come back and coach
No,
anymore?
if he
Manage?
wants it,
Sorry,
like
manage.
no,
Sorry.
if he wants to do it, he's good with young talent. Remember, he's the guy who set up the Yankees for their success.
That is true.
He was the guy before Joe Torre. Now, I also don't love the fact that the Mets gave him a little bit of a raw deal, but that's a whole nother conversation. But that would be the guy if I'm the Nationals. That's the guy I'm thinking about. Old school kind of thought. So wait and see.
Mhm.
um, the other thing I wanted to get into, that was a good conversation, but it did throw me off. I did
Yeah,
want to get into the
sorry.
Yankee. No, all good. I did want to get into the Yankees a little bit
Okay.
because I know Dan and Bill cover it, probably Bombers banter.
Mhm.
But I saw something while I had the Yankee game off for a minute yesterday, and it really ticked me off. Yeah.
Does it have to do with this number? 1 and 3?
One,
Is he short and play second base at
he
times?
plays second base.
Okay, go ahead.
So watching the Yankee game yesterday, and there was a pop-up hit to the second baseman. Jazz Chisholm's on first base. The second baseman catches the pop-up and then doubles up Jazz Chisholm off of first base. Now, he took a faint step like he was going 2 seconds, like he was a fly ball to right field, like he was trying to go halfway. And then Aaron Boone kind of said, well, he thought the second baseman might drop it to switch off the runners, get the lead runner at second base. We're in Major League Baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the second baseman lets that ball drop to get the out at second base, I'm okay with Jazz Chisholm standing at first base on that play.
Yep.
Because you say, all right, I got deked out or whatever it happens. To get doubled off of first base on a pop up to the second baseman is inexcusable.
Yes.
And this is a baseball team that every single day they find ways to be less fundamentally sound than the previous day. And there is not one thing this team does well. They don't pitch well. They don't hit well. They don't run the bases well. Anthony Volpe can't play defense well. There is nothing that you. And by the way, I got the Speedway Classic thing on last night. Get into that in a little bit too. Way to go, baseball.
Oh yeah.
Derek Jeter is criticizing you. Mr. New York Yankee, Derek freaking Jeter is on national television criticizing the New York bleeping Yankees. That's how far you've fallen from Game 5 of the World Series last year.
Not to that it's the fault of any one single person. I fault this on anybody who's in the organization or steps foot on that field. They have done nothing. I mean, you went out and got Carlos Rodon, $180 million. Yeah, he's had a resurgent year. Flop. Judge, again, injured again. Your pitching has been beyond subpar. Not to say that another team is better. However, we're still at the
Outside of
top of our
Max Fried,
division. Outside of Max Fried,
yeah,
the Yankees don't really have good pitching. Yes, I agree with the trades they made to help beef up the back end of the bullpen so they can hopefully last a little bit longer. With the mistakes and errors that I am constantly watching, it's paying admission of big league prices to watch little league team.
I want to take back something I said because you brought it up. I was wrong. The Yankees do have one thing going for them.
They get injured?
No, the one thing they have better than anybody else, they have Aaron Judge. By the way, Aaron Judge, who apparently is coming back at some point this week.
For anything points out towards the end of the week, but not as the right fielder.
No,
He will
he's
come back at
DHing.
Right. He will be
He's
back as the
DHing,
DH.
which means this: Giancarlo Stanton, who can't even run, is playing in the outfield somewhere
Yep.
because you can't lose that bat. So this whole thing is becoming a problem, and it's a bigger problem than I think people are going to realize because Aaron Judge might have to DH the rest of the season.
And that's only if it shows that he does not need surgery, even as we get closer to the end of the season.
Right, like
That flexor tendon can go at any time.
right, and that's going to be the thing. Teams are going to probably pitch him up and in now near that
Yeah.
arm.
You'll see a lot of
So
changes.
we know how great of a player he is, but this team, and look, I give Brian Cashman full props for what he did at the trade deadline. I think Brian Cashman has done a wonderful job in a career as the Yankee GM. I'm not going to say recently, but the things this team does, I don't know how Aaron Boone is still an employed man. That's the
And
one thing that would bother me.
and we know, as Mike pointed out, you want to hear more in-depth talk on this, listen to Bombers Banter here on the Sports Insanity Network, and they'll cover it a little bit deeper. But I can't agree with Mike more, and Mike and I have been very, how do I want to say it, very outspoken on this topic for over a year now, regarding not just Boom, but the Yankees in general, how yeah, they made it to the World Series, but it just goes to show you, even the best of teams that are not completely balanced, one side is going to falter.
Their run to the World Series last year was the Royals and the Guardians.
Agreed.
I mean, I'm not knocking those teams, but look at where those teams are right now.
Hmm.
The Guardians are two back of the wild card at 2 games under 500. The Royals are at 500, 3.5 back. They're good teams. They're not great teams.
Right.
So, all right. I got 2 bones to pick with Major League Baseball, then we'll get into some series. My first bone to pick with Major League Baseball. They both occurred yesterday. The Tigers are playing the Phillies in Philadelphia. That's the Sunday night game tonight.
Yep.
Yesterday, the pitching matchup in Philadelphia was Tarek Skubal against Zach Wheeler, the two best pitchers in all of baseball. Is there someone with half a brain out there in Major League Baseball who would tell us, hey, you know what? This is a great pitching matchup, Skubal and Wheeler. Let's broadcast the game to the entire freaking world. So I don't care if it was a Fox game, if MLB Network wanted to pick it up, but the fact that Tarek Skubal versus Zach Wheeler wasn't on television yesterday pisses me the hell off because they're both, well, they both could win their respective Cy Youngs.
Absolutely. I've spoken enough about Zach Wheeler and I've written enough articles about him to show where I stand now. Tariq Skubal is having a hell of a season, trying to keep it as clean as possible.
Yeah, another
Is
10 strikeout performance for him, by the way.
Yeah, it's funny. If you watch Coast to Coast here on the Sports Network, my friend, very close friend, Mike Shields, was happened to be at the Colorado game yesterday and was watching Paul Skeens pitch. Didn't even know Paul Skeens was pitching yesterday. Yes, is that your nationwide lineup like Tyreek Skubal and Zach Wheeler? No, but there has to become better ways without fans, and I'm not saying just average fans not having to pay an arm and a leg to watch their team out of market. It has to become a better way.
Yeah. So that's one.
And I know where you're
Two.
going with the other one.
Major League Baseball advertised this Speedway Classic played at Bristol Motor Speedway between the Reds and the Braves. Not a
Yep.
problem, except for the time because of the rain. They didn't even get a full inning of this game in. They're, they suspended the game. It'll resume this afternoon at 1 o'clock on Fox, with the Reds leading 1-0 in the bottom of the first. Like, make that. I get it. You want a prime time slot, but if you make it during the day when it wasn't raining in Bristol, Tennessee, we don't have this problem.
They should have moved the game immediately when during the day the radar chances went from 10% to 80%. That game should have just been halted for weather and played today anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you also have to look at it. You're not going to have, I believe I have to go back quickly. Look, sorry, Cox and,
Chase Burns.
no, Chase Burns are not pitching. They are on record, but they're not pitching
Yeah.
because
But by the way, Cox was not the scheduled pitcher. It was supposed to be Spencer Strider.
correct. So
Yeah.
now Strider gets to go, and Chase Burns will not pitch today. I have not looked to see any updates of who they're saying is pitching for Cincinnati,
Uh,
but
see if they got anything on here.
see them trying to pour mounds and mounds of quick dry on this is redonkulous. It if they would have tarped the field, I'm sure they were working on that field all night. Not that I was watching, but I'm guaranteeing it. So yeah, now they get a prime time slot, and Spencer Strider gets to be seen all over, whereas the original pitching matchup doesn't matter.
I'm just looking to see if the Braves and Reds have announced anything.
I didn't see anything before we had come on, so
No, nothing from the Braves. So we'll have to wait and see if you want to watch that game. It's on Fox. All right, on to some of the big series of the week. Uh, we got the Astros going to Miami. We talked about the Marlins earlier. Houston's going to be in a race in the AL West most of the last month. Texas and Seattle right on their trail.
well, this is going to be an interesting move, an interesting run, not move for Houston. Um, Miami's, as we both talked about it earlier, Miami is not out of it by any means. There's still over a month and a half to play in the regular season. If any team is going to knock this Miami team off its pedestal, it's going to be Houston. As we talked, Houston has reacquired third baseman Carlos Correa. And again, it might not be his fielding that is going to help them. It's going to be his bat in that lineup. The exact spot he's going to hit, I'm not sure, but I'm assuming
I'm
third.
going to presume he's hitting three through five. He's somewhere in there.
I, I would figure three. Yeah.
Um, you got the Guardians going to City Field to play the Mets. Guardians still alive in the wild card. Mets and Phillies are in a dogfight in the NL East.
The Mets have let their bark speak. Now it's time to let it bite. They have brought in an amazing trade deadline package. We've already spoken about it. I don't have to go over it again. The Mets had a great win last night yesterday afternoon against San Francisco. Mets will win today, guaranteeing it. But if the Mets want to be taken seriously, they have to come out and sweep Cleveland these 3 games.
So you got that. We got the Royals and the Red Sox. American League wild cards standings will be impacted. National League wild card implications. Reds and Wrigley to take on the Cubs.
That's going to be a fun series to
That is a
watch.
massive series. That's the massive series of the week. Uh,
Yes, that's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yankees go to Texas to play the Rangers. Again, more wild card implication.
Uh,
Uh, Padres go to Arizona if Arizona wants to get back into this thing, although I'm not buying it. Cardinals, Dodgers. If we look ahead to the next weekend, you get the Mets going to Milwaukee to play the Brewers for the first time since the wild card series.
and that's going to make good decisions on a lot for the Milwaukee Brewers because the Milwaukee Brewers, like the Mets, are in a dead tight race in the Central, like the Mets are in the East
The
with the
Brew
Chicago Cubs.
the Brewers have the best record since like May 12th in baseball.
And you're not wrong. I'm just saying, if the Mets want to be taken seriously, these series against the Guardians, the Brewers, and they're going to have to face the Phillies soon,
Yep.
you know, it's time to show why you got all these little pieces. Well, they're not little.
Uh, the Astros go to the Bronx. So Bill Murphy, your favorite team, the Astros, will be in town. Go see them.
Bill's going to be listening to Chumbawanga that night.
Little tub thumping.
You got it.
Uh, the Phillies will go to Texas next this weekend. Play the Rangers.
That's a trap series for Philadelphia. A third place team taking on a dogfight team in for the top. You just got to hope Philadelphia is not going to go in so lackadaisical about it like they have on a few other series in the past.
Yep. The Red Sox go to San Diego. That should be a good one. And how about this one? The Toronto Blue Jays go to Los Angeles to play the Dodgers.
That's going to be fun. Nathan Moser's Blue Jays head for the sunny West Coast.
He's
So all
not
you
even a
Moser,
baseball fan.
I was about to say, all your Moser only fans watch Nate as he will be dressed as the Blue Jay the whole weekend.
He dresses up as the mascot. All right. That'll do it for this edition of the Batter Up Podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood. Mark, anything on the dugout?
Yes, news out of Top Notch Sports Club with the Dugout of Millwood is that we will be doing a break dedicated out to them on whether it's next week or the week after, having to do with Gold Rush Sports, which has become a very big play here on the Sports Insanity Network, as a lot of the pieces that we win from it, whether it be hockey pucks, baseballs, football, some jerseys, some 16 by 20 pictures, I give away to these guys as, trivia nights and stuff like that. So we'll be doing a shout out of all the pieces that I've won from them and give you an idea of what's coming up for them in the upcoming weeks.
Yeah. Check us out on the socials: Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network, Twitter, Insanity Real. Check out the website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. Right, blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. Next week, we should have Danny Boy back with us. But until then, for the old ops guy, and I'm Mike Rifkin, we'll talk to you all again next week. Thank you for tuning into the Batter Up Podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here on the Sports Insanity Network. Have a great Sunday, everybody.